inbound clients. Is that a myth or reality in recruitment? Can you really attract recruitment clients with LinkedIn posts and content creation? Spoiler alert, the answer is yes. I've worked with hundreds of recruiters, and I can tell you that some recruiters are solely relying on content creation and LinkedIn posts to attract clients, and they don't have to prospect. Yet 95% fails. And in this video, I'm going to share what's the difference between those 5% that are succeeding and the 95% that are just wasting time and energy. So recruitment is a competitive industry, and it's easy to understand why. It's easy to start in recruitment. You only need a laptop, a good internet connection. It's a very high profit business. You only spend a few $100 per month and you can make 10, 15, 20K with only one placement. So you can understand why so many people want to start a recruitment business. And as a consequence, every recruiter's dream is having clients begging to work with them every day in their inbox. So the question is, can you achieve a fraction of this dream? Because everyone posts now. AI make writing easy, but can you really rely on inbound to win clients? So can it be your core strategy? Can you avoid cold calling, sending DMs, etc., and mostly rely on content creation, or at least get your fair part of leads? The truth, as I said, is that only 5% of recruiters are able to achieve that. How do I know? First of all, as I told you, I'm in this business for 10 years. I met hundreds and hundreds of recruiters, and I've coached hundreds of recruiters. So I can tell you that only a very small fraction of them is able to achieve that. And if you don't trust me, just go, on YouTube, you type recruitment podcast, or you ask around, and you will see that top performers, they find clients almost exclusively with DMs and calls, and a bit with emails as well. But trust me, 70% is a combo of DMs and calls. But why? Because as we said, there are so many people writing nowadays. 10 years ago when I started, nobody were writing posts on LinkedIn, and only a very small part is really able to generate leads and to pull jobs with content creation. The reason why is that content is easy, conversion is hard. Inbound works when three things align, and most recruiters don't have all three. So those three things are: you need the good strategy, the right market, and the right time. So let's see together how to be in the top 5. Because all the recruiters that are able to generate leads and get jobs from content creation on LinkedIn, they all share 5 common traits. The first one is they like writing. So they were already writing before it was trendy. They didn't start because everybody is doing it now on LinkedIn or because there is AI. Maybe they were journaling, maybe they were writing songs, poetry, maybe they had a blog back then, maybe they are reading a lot. So mainly the recruiters that are doing very well on LinkedIn, I could see that they don't really use AI to write their posts. They could use it to generate some ideas, to help them to rephrase something, but they write them posts themselves. And this is why it doesn't sound like AI, because the problem is that you have been reading so much AI-generated content that even if you don't do it consciously, you will see that you will write like AI. It will sound like AI because you train your brain to think writing like AI does. And that's very challenging, because this is why it's very difficult to convert with those posts. Because if it's something that you could have generated with AI, it means that it's generic. Anyone could do it. And so it's just noise. People don't really pay attention to it. Number 2, the second trait, they have a clear strategy, and I would also add that they have real experience. So you will see what it really matters. So good writing isn't enough. You need to stop chasing reach with candidates tip. That is something that I see so often. So you think like, okay, I'm a recruiter and I want to create content. So which topic am I going to discuss tomorrow? And you think, oh, maybe I could share some CV tips. Maybe I could help candidates prepare better for their interview. And it sounds logic and natural for you, but this is where you are wrong. Because when you are doing so, it just shows that you don't have a strategy. Who do you want to attract with your content? Candidates or clients? What is your challenge right now? Finding clients or candidates? Most of you, like 95%, you will tell me, oh, our difficulty is to find clients. Okay, why are you talking to candidates now? Talking to candidates is easy because a lot of people will relate. So for your ego, it's nice because you will have comments, likes, and you believe that because you have a post doing well where you are sharing tips with candidates, that a client will be like, oh, he must be a very good recruiter. I'm going to reach out to him when I need him to hire somebody for my team. It doesn't work that way. Obviously, if it doesn't resonate with them, they won't even read the post. Their problem right now is not to find a job. So if you post content about helping people to find a job, they won't read it. As simple as that. They are not recruiters. They don't spend the entire day on LinkedIn. Maybe they spend 20 minutes, maybe 1 hour per day, maybe 2 hours. So, if the post is not directly interesting for them, they won't read it. So it's a wrong way of thinking to believe, okay, I'm going to share good tips for candidates. And so client will be thinking, okay, he's a good recruiter, so I'm going to work with them. It doesn't mean that you should never share a candidate's tip, but it should be like 20% of your content. Don't chase vanity metrics. We don't care. Okay, 80% of your content should be about your clients, their problem. Talk market reality, industry shifts, client stories. This is how you will get their attention because, as I said, clients don't hire you for CV tips. They want problem solved, like speed, quality, risk. A better resume is not a problem for them. So if they don't feel concerned, they won't read. And this is why so many fail, because they create content before having something interesting to say. You need real experiences, case studies, market info, or again, your content will sound generic and so it won't be converting. If you don't have real stories to share about a process that you had recently, about a market information that helped you to increase the retention rate of your candidates or whatsoever, your content will be generic, basically something that anybody could write. Number 3, the right market. So it's really important to understand that not every market will be a fit. It's not possible to, or I'm not going to say it's not possible. I would say that some markets are more likely to welcome your post, to interact with your post, to read them. They are more likely to see you as an authority because you write interesting stuff. In some other markets, that will be way more challenging. So you have to be aware of this. It's maybe not adapted to your market. So you should pay attention to pick the right intersection between targeting the right roles in the right industry and in the right country, because that's a cultural thing as well. I know that, for example, you would get better results in the US with content creation that you will have in France. Okay, that's a fact, because in France, they value keeping low profile more, for example. It's just a cultural thing. So it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it, but you should keep this in mind and be aware that some combos just respond better. Then you need to focus and to focus on one channel. Every recruiters, and I would even say anyone who is posting regularly on LinkedIn and that he is really having good results, like leads and clients and making money, usually you could see that they are solely creating content for LinkedIn. It's not like, okay, I'm creating content for YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and then I'm going to repurpose a script for LinkedIn. No, they really focus on LinkedIn. So they know the platform very well. They understand the algorithm. They know when to share an image, when not, and they're also able to go deep because they only focus on LinkedIn. So they can not only post, but they can comments, they can react to your comments, they can follow up with a DM. See, for example, if a potential client shared an interesting insight in a comment, they can follow it up with a DM because they only focus on that. And they can follow it up with calls, with voice notes, etc. So consistency is better than being everywhere. So keep this in mind. Don't try to be everywhere. If you want to have focus on LinkedIn, I would say that LinkedIn is very different than any other platform. And you will see there are a lot of people that are very good with content creation. They get clients on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok. And then they try LinkedIn because they're like, okay, LinkedIn is a very good place for B2B, obviously. So this is where I should go. And then they try creating content and they have barely no results because it's a different world. The algorithm is very different. It's mainly text-based. So if you really want to be successful on LinkedIn, you have to focus solely on LinkedIn. And lastly, you have to be patient because it's a long-term strategy, not something you do when you need results in the next 3 months. People who are succeeding right now, they didn't start yesterday. So you should think like 18 months instead of 6 to 12 weeks. Compounding beats quick spikes. That's really important to keep this in mind. If you are starting from scratch, you need to make money in the next 3 months. This is not where I would start, because the reality is that without these 5 traits, content creation will mostly be a waste of time and energy for you guys. And this is actually the case for the vast majority of recruiters posting. You post more and win less. You are busy but not booked. Really, if you don't have a combination of those 5 traits, it's going to be very challenging for you to get leads. And I'm not even going to talk about like relying solely on content creation to build your business and to get clients. All the recruiters that are successful on LinkedIn, they have those 5 traits. Then, what would be my advice? I love content. It's part of my strategy. I'm creating content right now. So I'm not going to be the one who's going to tell you that content is useless. Not at all. But it's not how I would start from zero. If I had to start from scratch, as I said, content would not be my top priority. Instead would be the following. First one, to learn how to know who to contact, how to prioritize. Why should I call that company first? That's really important to understand that. To be able to spot opportunities before they go live. And you do that by tracking signals. Number 2, outreach. It would be to learn how to contact those prospects. How to use context, how to use signals to be relevant, to have a warm conversation, and then when and how to follow up with a strategic call. That would be my focus if I was starting from scratch now. And from there, I would pull meetings, jobs, I would have interviews, I would make placements, I would have testimonials. And then from there, now I'm able to create content that converts. Before that, it would be unpredictable, too slow, and empty, because as I said, you need real experience, otherwise it will really sound generic. So I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm telling you that you need a smart strategy, and then when you are starting, it's probably not your top priority. Maybe if you share those 5 common traits, but you don't have real experience yet, maybe you can do something. But for most people, I would recommend them to go with outbound first. Because really, if I had to make 10K this month, starting from scratch, as I said, what I would do, I would build a signal list so I know what are the hot accounts in my industry. Then I would send messages, so a combo of text messages and short voice note. And I would run smart calls at the right timing. And very importantly, my product would be my process. So not CV. CV is not my process is. So basically this means that, okay, I would go and see the client and tell him, look, this is how I'm going to work. And this is why it is going to help you with that specific problem. Is that fine with you? So it gives me full control. Your content is here to amplify, not to replace. Remember this. You want to use content to amplify a working system, not to replace it, not to avoid outreach, not to avoid contacting people. It is more, okay, I've been successful with clients recently. You know what? Let's document my wins. Let's share client stories. This is how you're going to resonate with your audience. And this is why you're going to attract the right attention. And if you want a clean, predictable pipeline without call spam or chasing dead leads, DM me signals on Instagram and I will share my exact system on how to get clients predictably without call spam, without chasing dead leads, without burning out, and without endless content creation that doesn't convert. So hit me a follow, join me on Instagram, and I will be happy to share the video with you.